artists and do exhibitions and
Okay. Danielle, you're
they're
ready.
like silly. Are you serious?
Wait till the,
No.
are you guys on for like
4 or 5 years? Yeah.
Good morning. Yeah, hello. Okay, good morning, everybody. And want to welcome some of our special guests here today. We're here for our 11:30 briefing, and as an overview, we're going to be touching on a lot of updates from Central New Mexico. So we have numerous actually testing updates to share with you. And then our main deep dive topic for today is around our program for supporting the creative economy. And so we're joined by some folks who've been working very hard on that program. And we're actually going to sign the legislation granting the monies to our creative solopreneurs and creative organizations that will help them provide some great content during a time of need for our city. So that's going to be our deep dive topic for today. And we're also joined by fellow mayor, Los Ranchos Mayor Don Lopez. And so Mayor Lopez is going to give us a little bit of an update from his perspective from the wonderful village in the heart of Albuquerque. And so let's begin with some of these basics here in terms of Central New Mexico. First, Presbyterian reports that it has its testing site at Balloon Fiesta Park is experiencing increased volume, and it is expecting that to continue as testing criteria is expanded. So on Sunday, May 17th, Presbyterian will begin offering testing on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So again, that's not this Sunday, that's next Sunday. They're going to start Sunday testing. It's also going to adjust Saturday hours of operation from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. So some different hours for Saturday as well. Loveless Medical Center is going to be holding their drive-through testing screening centers again back open every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the parking lot across from the hospital on MLK. And again, that's the one they've used periodically on and off, going to be back open again on those days. That testing is going to be open to anyone. So that includes those who are not showing symptoms. So this is sort of our asymptomatic testing option for folks. And patients are encouraged to bring their ID cards and insurance with them. Okay, there's also 2 new COVID-19 drive-through testing sites that are opening today, Friday, May 8th, in the parking lots of 2 more Walmart stores. This is going to help geographically with our testing options a lot. So we're glad this is happening, and those 2 new stores are the one on Carlisle. That's going to really fill a nice hole in kind of the mid-northeast heights for testing availability. And the other one is the Walmart store in Coors Bypass. Of course, one of the busiest areas still, even during Corona times, because of that store in the city, and a option available on the west side. So we now have an option available on the northwest side and on the southwest side. Okay, so these testing sites, in addition to the one at Wyoming Academy, which opened in April, they're going to test those who are exhibiting symptoms. So again, this is not asymptomatic. This is if you are exhibiting symptoms. And all healthcare and it's also available for all healthcare providers and first responders. Please note also the testing is not available inside Walmart stores. So if you're walking around looking for the testing, go back in your car and look at the other end of the parking lot. These sites are supported by Walmart and Quest Diagnostics, and of course, the state of New Mexico and local officials. Now, the New Mexico Department of Human Services has announced that families receiving food assistance through SNAP will soon be able to use those benefits to buy food online. This is expected to be up and running later this month, something that much needed during these times. We also want to thank Comcast. They are running free public service announcements for the city to inform and encourage residents to stay safe and continue social distancing. This comes on top of the fact that Comcast is already offering free and low-cost internet options to individuals and families in Albuquerque, and that got expanded actually for May. So Comcast, thanks so much for stepping up in so many ways on both fronts. Also today, in about 15 minutes, our Bishop David Cooper and other pastors with the Ministers Fellowship of Albuquerque and vicinity area are going to be providing lunch to everyone at Tri-Core Testing Facility today. So thanks so much for the Ministers Fellowship and Bishop Cooper for doing that. For Tri-Core, of course, who's doing most of the testing for all of the sites that I just mentioned. So I think with that, we want to talk about some updates on city services. First, of course, it's Mother's Day weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including my wife and my mother-in-law and my mom, all living in Albuquerque. And so we know that for many families, people are going to want to, get together and be outside and so forth. And we just want to remind folks, look, enjoy the parks, enjoy your family, stay socially distanced as appropriate. That hasn't changed. And of course, if you are in parks and open space, enjoy them, then come back home. And so also, we want to remind folks that our ability to get to phase one, to actually reopen at some point soon, hopefully in the next few weeks, depends on how good we are with respect to all these precautions. And so we want to make sure that we're investing this weekend in staying at home and social distancing, and we can hopefully get a return on that investment by being able to open with phase one in the near future. So I know I'll be doing lots of Zoom chats and probably some drive-by grocery drop-offs, and also our gifts for Mother's Day. I'm planning on using the Rail Yards Market drive-up program. So a reminder that the Rail Yards Market is open, but you got to pre-order online and then you drive up and pick it up. So we'll see some of you out there on Sunday. Okay. In terms of a couple of things with respect to government, I want to mention that APD is doing some enforcement with respect to parks and citations. And the citations that we've given to folks so far are primarily around closing time violations. And as a reminder, we've always had laws around when parks are closed. And a lot of that has to do with, public safety primarily, and also challenges sometimes around vagrancy and illegal parties in the evening and so forth from more of the high school crowd. But I want to remind folks that we are enforcing those. And so we do know that, as always, people are more likely to engage in illegal activity like drug use and illegal alcohol use at night in our parks, and we want that to stop. Regardless if it's Corona or not, we're continuing to enforce that. We also want to mention that in total, so this has been, I believe, 58 citations in the last 5 weeks. Mesa Verde Park has had 24, Phil Chacon 9, Jerry Klein 8, Wilson Park 7, Jack and Jill 6, and Veterans Memorial 5. So those are the locations. A reminder, parks close at 10 p.m. is when most parks close during the summer. Okay, and again, that helps us also make sure those parks are safe for exercise the following morning. So with that, I want to take a break and invite the Mayor of Los Ranchos up here to give us a little update from his perspective. Mayor, come on up.
Thank you, Mayor Keller. I am Donald T. Don Lopez, Mayor of Los Ranchos de Albuquerque, and I'd like to take about a moment and a half to give you a brief update on the situation that is currently in the village of Los Ranchos. The village of Los Ranchos de Albuquerque, home to nearly 7,000 restaurants, sits right in the middle, I wish we had that, sits right in the middle of Bernalillo County. It is completely surrounded by the city of Albuquerque. Our partnership with the city, therefore, is crucial this important time. We have and are instituting safe practices since the beginning of the pandemic. I appreciate Mayor Keller's leadership in this regional collaboration, sharing best practices, and now collaborating on recovery plans and carefully finding the best way forward. In Los Ranchos, we are moving forward in 3 key areas. First, through our growers market. The Saturday market is a model of safety and efficiency. It is open for food vendors only, but still allows for the sale of farm fresh food. Second, through our agriculture programs. While we haven't been able to meet face-to-face, our agriculture committee work continues to support our farms, our agricultural lands and heritage, and educating the next generation of farmers through farm camps and other ag education. Finally, the village is moving forward with new business and economic development strategies. You may know that we have spent the last 2 years revitalizing our business district along 4th Street. The businesses along that corridor took a hit during construction, and we were just getting back to normal when the pandemic knocked them down again. The village is developing an economic development committee to find new ways to strengthen business and to bring folks back to our stores, salons, restaurants, bars, and to find new customers. We also have a number of crafts folks and folks who we call creatives doing an awful lot of craft design and that sort of thing. So we want to get that going, fairly soon. When it is safe to do so, we hope you will come down and see our beautiful village, walk and shop our 4th Street corridor, and help us get back on our feet. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mayor. Well, thank you so much, Mayor, for your leadership as well. And it's just a beautiful part of central New Mexico, of course, as we know, a real treasure in Los Ranchos and under strong, well-informed leadership. So thank you for also the cooperation and collaboration. We talk often, as we have been with all the central area mayors, and it's been great to be able to share our best practices and learn from each other. And also, as a bridge between our communities, we did announce, as you finished your 4th Street program, we are going to try and meet you right at Montano. And so we're repaving 4th on our side and trying to get it done now while everything's closed. So hopefully, let's say sometime in beginning of June, the central New Mexico community is going to have an awesome 4th Street all the way through both our towns. So, all right, let's see here. Now, we want to get into our deep dive topic, which also is relevant to this poster board here. Is a reminder we've continued to try as best we can and support our most fragile businesses and keys to the economy. I want to mention that, we know we're just scratching the surface, but if we can help either one business, one artist, etc., it's worth it, and that's why we're doing it. And in this case, we're able to help quite a few, but I also want to mention there are hundreds more. We wish we could, but we only have so much funding available. So here's what we've kind of put together. About $500,000 in creative economy relief efforts. And so we realize that the long-term impact of this pandemic is going to leave our culturally critical organizations, our artists, our creatives, creative solopreneurs, as well as the broader creative economy, are really getting hit hard, especially because of the nexus with tourism, right? So we know that a lot of our creative economy is based around some sort of gathering, number one, which we haven't been doing. So that in of itself is big, and then also that supplemental tourist side of the equation also cut off. So this program is meant to kind of fill the gap for creatives who weren't eligible for other programs. So we also know there's lots of other programs for lots of other types of businesses. This program is explicitly for folks who were not eligible for anything else, sort of state, federal, and even our other local programs. So there's been overwhelming response to these initiatives, and they've been coordinated by our city's Cultural Services Department. And I think the response really demonstrated, of course, the economic strain that's happening right now with these folks that depend on venues, audiences, retail, performance space, festivals to make a living. And so our initiative alone received nearly 100 applicants from arts organizations requesting financial support totaling more than $4 million. And in total, that was 2,000 employees, contractors, and artists that were interested. And of course, unfortunately, we only have money for about a quarter of that. So to tell us more about this program and walk us through this, we have two folks from our Cultural Services Department. One is Diana Delgado, and she does a whole lot of things in our department. So she's going to start out, and then we're going to hand it over to Shell Sanchez, who I think folks will recognize as our department director. I do want to mention, so first, the winners are on this board. They're obviously going to be online and notified and so forth. Also, want to let folks know how they were chosen. They were chosen through an existing committee process that we have through our Urban Enhancement Trust. So we're going to explain kind of how that worked. But we're excited, at least for these folks, to get some help. So to start off, Diana Delgado.
The City of Albuquerque and the Cultural Services Department is excited to announce the Mayor's Creative Youth Corps. This is a professional-level paid summer internship program for Albuquerque-based high school juniors, seniors, and recent grads who are interested in exploring a variety of career arts-based opportunities. Our city has diverse leadership, with people earning a living doing everything from curating our art and history museum to coordinating circus camps. Our goal is to show local youth these types of options, while they also get to work towards earning a $1,500 stipend. They will have the opportunity to work with community partners such as the Harwood Arts Center and the National Hispanic Cultural Center. While trying on their dream jobs, these youth will be mentored by creative professionals and, as I mentioned, work towards earning a $1,500 stipend. Applications are currently open and can be found at cultureabq.com.
Good job. All right. So we're excited we're going to be able to still offer this as part of this program. And obviously we're going to do it in a socially distanced and health appropriate way. Helping this community also is building a course for future generations. So thanks for setting that up, Diana. And now more on the other programs. Director Shel Sanchez.
Okay, so it's nice to see everyone today. I'm really happy to be back. About a month ago, we announced some new initiative, and Mayor did a fabulous job of summarizing those. And we have actually been able to move incredibly fast because of the leadership of Mayor Keller, also City Council's support. We've moved a lot of this money that we announced already out into the community. So I just want to go through a few of those. Right now, we have about $381,000 that has been committed to individuals and to arts organizations. So one of the things we did is we called on locals to produce creative and original content for our Albuquerque creative DIY media. And we've put out $60,000 in contracts. That's 39 different projects have been funded. Really excited about those. So last week on Friday night, Severo y Grupo Fuego, very popular band here in Albuquerque, had 5,000 watch party views. You can still go back and see that on our YouTube channels. And then tonight, you can enjoy a living room performance by local singer-songwriter La Reine on the ABQ Special Events Facebook page, on our local Comcast channels. I think it's on channel 27. Don't quote me. Oh, I'm getting a nod. Channel 27. And then it'll be on the YouTube channel, so you can see that at any time. So along with those media projects, we also have other projects ranging from crafts to an online circus cabaret, glass blowing demonstrations. All kinds of things are going to be coming out on our Comcast channels and again on the social media platforms. In an effort to keep our youth engaged, we called on teaching artists to create educational content related to arts and culture, and we have funded 11 of those projects so far, totaling $16,000. Now, of course, the most significant amount of the money really was came from our Urban Enhancement Trust Fund, which is an amazing resource here at the City of Albuquerque, and we have $304,000 to support 66 different arts and cultural organizations. That was recommended by our Urban Enhancement Trust Fund Committee, passed by City Council this week, and will be signed into legislation today by our mayor. I just want to take a couple of minutes to thank the Urban Enhancement Trust Fund Committee. That was led by Gabrielle Ubayas, and it included Stanley Allen, Nancy Zastadal, Ashley Otero, Dafina McMillan, Regina Chavez Puchetti, and Marissa Magallanes. They did an amazing amount of work in a very short period of time. They looked at over 90 applications, reviewed each one, scored them, discussed them, and then put their recommendations forward in less than a week. This is work we usually do in about 3 weeks, so we are really appreciative of the time and energy that they took. And the fact that they really took a lot of time to make sure that this was inclusive. It represents the whole entire city. It really prioritizes having audience of all ages, of all backgrounds, and all cultural backgrounds. So we're very, very proud of the list of arts organizations that are being funded, and it's a huge majority of the arts organizations in our city that are getting money through this effort. So we're very happy. And thank you to Sherry Brugerman and the public art team for coming up with this idea, pushing it forward quickly. Under Mayor Tim Keller's leadership, we really feel like arts and culture are valued every single day. We understand it's part of our vital work that we do, but it's also part of the future of our economy as we recover and we come back together. So with that, I am hopeful that the mayor is going to come up and actually make this legislation real so we can start signing contracts as early as next week.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So we are going to go ahead and do kind of our sort of virtual signing. So here's the legislation to make this all financially real. And I do want to thank, of course, City Council for passing this. This did go through Council, and want to thank Councilor Benton for sponsoring this. And so let's see. Now, what's today's date?
The 8th, May
Thanks.
8th.
All right. Okay, so we will get this over to the clerk, so we're all good there. Congratulations to our winners.
Yes.
Funds are on the way, and thanks so much to our cultural services team for all their work putting this together. Director, that special pen is for you.
Special pen.
That might be your first bill signing pen, so
It is.
you earned it. Now, I think with that, we're going to move on, and I want to mention, there's never been a better time to watch GOV-TV. So, let's be honest, it may not be the most popular channel for all of us compared to AMC or whatever you're into. But now we have all this awesome local programming coming on for arts and culture. So it's actually going to be really cool. So enjoy something new and local to watch on TV and rediscover public television through the city. Okay, so I think with that, we are going to wrap up with a couple of items here. First, our takeout recommendation. We're going to ask our honorary guest, Mayor of Los Ranchos, to give his takeout take. So, Mayor Lopez, you can give some shout outs.
Thank you, Mayor Keller. There's two places that I really love in Los Ranchos, and they're both open for carryout and both for breakfast. Casa Benavides on 4th Street and Dave's Valley Grill in the old Northdale Shopping Center. I'm sure that most of you know probably where that is. Basically, the old Northdale Shopping Center is on the corner of 4th Street and Osuna. And Casa Benavides is actually pretty close to Paseo del Norte, just a little bit south. Very easy to find. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, all right. I think with that, we will go ahead and take some questions from folks. And we do have in person. Go ahead.
Mayor, the governor has not laid out a timetable yet, looking at her plan of reopening the state in terms of when we could have gatherings of 100 or more. So it would appear that large-scale events, Balloon Fiesta, Freedom 4th, State Fair, might not be the way that they know it. $4 million of GRT revenue is generated from the Balloon Fiesta every year. Have you thought about it, talked about it? Are you concerned about losing that much of an economic impact to the city?
Sure. So the question is specifically around Balloon Fiesta and generally around sort of reopening and where the state's at. So a couple of things. We are getting ready to be ready to reopen. So we're using the governor's guidance in the 3 phases she mentioned. And of course, we're in the preparation phase now. And I hope by the end of next week, Albuquerque will have our plan to go into phase 1. Now, when we go into phase 1, obviously depends on the statistics and the health measures and fundamentally the state. So, but we're going to try and be ready. I think, and that's we're going to be talking about this all next week. So you'll get all the details on that. Now, that's phase 1. Things like the Balloon Fiesta, et cetera, are all phase 3 activities. So we know we're not expecting anything of that nature at least till July. And we've said this before, but that is in the high number of contacts and high intensity of contacts categories. And so all those types of events won't be happening in our city in June, May or June. Now, what we're going to do specifically with the Balloon Fiesta is we believe that there is an important time to evaluate projects. And the time is really between when, there's like a point of no return where you have to decide yes or no. But there's also lead up time to that when they have to make investments, we have to make plans, etc. We believe the time to figure out what we're going to do with Balloon Fiesta is the month of July, because we're going to have more health data, we're going to know where we're at, we might have some other guidance with respect to neighboring states and communities. And we are going to look at three options, right? If the situation is very bad, we know that, we might have to look at a world where we're not having big festivals in the fall. But we also know if things are looking good, it's not till October, so we might actually be able to have Balloon Fiesta. But I think most importantly, there is a middle option, especially with Balloon Fiesta. The highest intensity issue is the field, right, where all of us go out and enjoy that. However, because of the balloons being in the sky and so forth, there might be a lot of different options, whether it's different viewing areas throughout the city, whether it's in your car experience or sort of a tailgating experience of Balloon Fiesta. All of those are viable. Also, I want to mention that Balloon Fiesta fundamentally is a contest for balloonists. So there may be Balloon Fiesta, and how we deal with spectators is a different question. So all that's on the table, and we're not really going to go down all those paths even until July, because that's when we'll have enough information to make an informed decision. It's just premature right now to make calls on events that aren't happening until October.
Let me just ask you one follow-up question, and maybe I'll reword this a little bit. How big of an economic impact is the Balloon Fiesta?
The question is how big is the economic impact, and during Balloon Fiesta season, I know this off the top of my head, and I don't off the top of my head know, but I know we can get you that. And I know this, it's the single largest event in the state of New Mexico, and anywhere in 1,000 square miles. And I do know it's the largest economic activity that happens in those 1,000 square miles as well. So it's big. I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but we can get that for you. Yeah.
With like stuff like a Balloon Fiesta, bigger events and stuff like that, like our hospitals are already close to capacity, if not overrun in some cases. Is the city ready for something like that? Is the hospitals ready for something like that?
Well, right now, no, which is why we've canceled all events. So that this is exactly why for May and June we're not going to have any festivals, because our hospital system isn't there. So it's a good reminder about why we're doing this. It's because if we did have a New Orleans Mardi Gras type situation, our entire healthcare system would collapse. So that's why we're not doing it. Now, if we can do that in October, depends on where we're at with respect to capacity. And so those are the numbers we'll have to look at as we get closer.
We have one from Chris McKee at Care QA. You mentioned last week that you hope to have an update on the city budget this week. Can you give us an update today on where things stand with revenues? Are there any changes?
Sure. So the question is a little bit of an update on the budget and where things stand. We're getting fresh economic data in the middle of May, so that's going to be next week, and that's going to tell us what happened at the end of April. So that's a very important data point. So I think we'll have, more insightful information for you after next week. And that's also why we're planning a budget update, probably that we'll get that like midweek, and then we'll go through it. And so the following week, we'll probably have a more formal budget update. But we know that for this fiscal year, again, that ends in July 1, we did get that chunk of federal CARES money. And so we do know, even though it has lots of strings attached, we feel very good about this fiscal year. So in other words, we're not concerned about getting to July. The question is, what about after July? And so that's why you don't see us doing anything urgently in May. We've got time to work through that, a little bit of time.
Did the CARES money allow you to use it for operating expenses at all? Because I know last time we talked publicly, that was a big question.
Yeah, so the question is, in the CARES money, can we use it for operating expense? It's actually more nuanced than that. So we can use it for care-related operating expense. That is good news. So it is the guidance from the U.S. Treasury is that it can be used for payroll for corona-related activity. So that's going to really allow us to use what we need in this fiscal year. And so that's a very good thing for the city of Albuquerque. We're, again, next fiscal year, starting in July, we're going to work through and figure out what to do. But we are able to use some of that for operating expense.
We don't have any more.
I've got one last one for another recorder station, Mayor. We're getting reports that we've now had a healthcare worker in the city of Albuquerque who has passed away from COVID-19. Are you aware of it? Have you been briefed on it? And if so, do you have anything to say about that happening to them or their family?
So the question is about a healthcare worker who may have passed away from corona. So I personally am not aware of that, but I know that this is a eventuality that we unfortunately know is probably going to happen even more. And for someone who, I mean, literally most of my family is on the front line in hospitals as well. Most of them are in different states, but this is a terrible thing, and unfortunately, folks are putting their lives at risk, literally, to take care of others. And if this has finally happened here, it's a very sad example of what people are going to have to deal with. And so my hearts go out to their families. I mean, it's something we literally worry about in our own family. And so I want to remind folks, this is why we're supposed to stay at home. This is why we're supposed to try and flatten the curve. This is why we're going through all this economic pain, is because we are trying to lessen the number of people who die. All right, so with that, we will convene on Monday. Mondays are always a little bit of we're not sure what topic. It just kind of depends what happens on the weekend. But we believe we do want to give an update on animals. So in particular, our animal welfare department and so forth, especially as we look towards phase 1 of reopening. Okay, so we will see you, and everybody have a happy Mother's Day and a healthy weekend. Thanks. All right, so Shella, I was going to look at these.
It's great. I'm super proud of that. Honestly, it's maybe 5